Hey there, it's Chris Westfall with some updates for you, some things that I've learned in the last couple of months. We're busy going to Hawaii with Manhattan Life and London with Mutual of Omaha and Aetna going to Key West on their trip, which is not really a trip. They just kind of give you money to go, which is not bad. But we've learned a lot in the last few months since the acquisition, which was, let's see, last quarter of 2001. And so now we're owned by a bigger company, which is owned by a bigger company. But they've changed nothing about our operations, which has been really neat. We've been moving along swiftly. But some things in life have come up which have pointed my attention to some interesting discoveries. We recently went to the Van Gogh exhibit, The Experience. I don't know if you've been familiar with that, but it's a traveling exhibit that goes around the world. And it was coming through our town here in Charleston. We went to go see the life of Van Gogh as it was represented in this huge, huge gymnasium auditorium, and moving pictures of all of the art that he's created, that he did through his life, was shown all over the place. Absolutely amazing story, but I took away something so profound from that. And I want to share this with you because it might have something to do with you or somebody that you know, and that's the reason why I bring this up. Looking back on my career in insurance, I try to identify what the things were that made us ultimately successful selling the company for multiple 8 figures, as opposed to many of the agents that I've met along the way that I've tried to help, and some of them have become very successful, and yet some will check in 5 years later, and 5 years later, and 5 years later, and they've not implemented anything in their life to change what they're doing. And when you meet with some of these individuals on a one-on-one basis, you'll see that they take care of their customers. Many times they ask for referrals. They will spend all day or multiple days working on a problem for their client to get them to the right resolution. In other words, they're doing everything right as far as being a good agent. So why then, at the end of the day, when everybody comes at the end of their career and they put their chips all in and you see what has been the fruit of my labor, is it based on how good you were on every single interaction, every new client that you were helping along the way, and how you can facilitate being the best agent for that person? Or does it have to do with something else that leads, me sitting at the table next to another agent who's just as good, if not better, at one-on-one interactions, caring about their customer, doing the very best for their customer? What is the difference then that separates tens of millions of dollars from an agent who says, I just can't make it? Or they get out of the industry by saying, I give up. Or they've run the course and at the end they lay their sword down and they go, you know what, I made a pretty decent living. But if you compare it, and I'm not saying by any means, I'm not saying that what's in the bank account is the sum total of what you've accomplished in your life. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is, if you want to be an agent who has a life of distinction whereby you can contribute more to your family, to the society that which you live in, and the things that you care about most, how can you do that while at the same time maintaining a high level of integrity? What is the difference in that result versus the result of struggling, not making it, constantly wondering, what did I do wrong? And so the Van Gogh exhibit, it really shocked me because I was not one for art history. Actually, when I went to college, it was for law enforcement, got the law enforcement degree, and then organizational leadership just to get a degree of trying to learn how to work with people better. I didn't learn anything in there about art. Van Gogh's story is quite unique, and most of you probably already know this. Van Gogh was never celebrated in his lifetime. As a matter of fact, he died nearly penniless of frustration, literally committed himself to an insane asylum where he actually painted Starry Night while he was in there. But he ultimately took his own life, thinking that he would never amount to anything. He struggled his entire life, but along the way was getting to be a better and better and better and better artist. He never gave up on it. He did it for his entirety of his life. And it was just at the very, very end of his life that people started to realize what he had created. Not until A century later, were people selling his paintings for millions of dollars, and around the world now they're the most sought after in the art world. Why is that? Why was he not successful in his life? Why was he not recognized by his peers and others? If no one knows what you're doing, and you do it in silence, and you do it in a vacuum where no one knows how good you are, then at the end of the day, does it matter how good you were if you did not add the critical component to whatever it is you're doing of marketing? Hear me out. If he had someone that was actively promoting his painting, going around Europe, going around the world to showcase what he was doing at the time where he was doing it, then during his lifetime, he might have benefited then from how great he really was, but no one knew it. It's like holding your candle under a tree. Nobody's going to see it out in the world. I would venture this, and this is my big takeaway, as I'm walking through and I'm learning about the life of Van Gogh, and I'm reflecting, as I am many times these days, over my past and where we came from, and the things that I stumbled onto, became passionate about, and then spent all of my years studying more than anything, and that is marketing. Getting an effective message out to many people consistently so that eventually something in there takes traction. I've seen so many agents try with this platform or that platform. They'll try 5 or 10 tries at something and then completely give up. And yet, I've seen other people who started really, really bad, but they started and they never quit. And you can't help but find success, because you'll end up finding, with these 300 million people in our country, you'll end up, if you're out there enough, finding your tribe, if you commit to always getting better and being consistent. Yes, if you're consistently bad, you'll never find any traction. But what I'm saying is, if you study the art of marketing, yes, people make insurance to be complicated. It's really not, especially in the Medicare field, that we've had this niche within a niche of health insurance within insurance itself. It's not that complicated. What's complicated is where people just completely shut out the marketing aspect, and an agent who's older than I am contacting me 10 years later in their career and saying, where do I go get leads from? What do you mean, where do you go get leads from late in your career? You should, in my humble opinion, by then have so well crafted your marketing message and your branding as yourself, as to who you are, that people are literally attracted to you. And you have a constant flow then. And I'm not talking about referrals and just hoping that your existing people will continue to perpetuate your business. They won't. They can't enough to grow your business. You may stop the slide of people dying and leaving and going somewhere else. I'm talking about having a lot of people constantly waiting in line to work with you, because you've separated yourself from the crowd, from everybody who's doing, dropping direct mail as a complete and utter stranger, putting signs out on the billboard, on the side of the road, doing things that will never enable you to have a brand where people seek you out as the expert. And all I'm asking you is to consider the difference at the end of the career, looking back, having had tens of thousands of people come to you asking for help, versus you constantly going after cold traffic, cold people, cold mail, cold leads, cold places to sit there and wait, and for hopefully somebody will come in through a drugstore and hopefully ask for your stranger to stranger help, having no idea who you are, because you've never put out into the world like Van Gogh did. You never put out in the world, while you're here, while you're in this career, and while you're alive, who you are, what you do, who you help, and how they can reach you. Who are you? People want to know. More than that, they want to know, what can you do for them? What is the problem you can solve? The old axiom in marketing is, the more people whose problems you can solve, the more you're going to be better. So if you can solve a lot of problems by putting a wide net out there and consistently work on your marketing, On my website for years, I've had the people that I follow the most. I had all my mentors on there that I've followed, and I've learned a little from this person, a little from that person, a little from that person. And those are the people that I watch on a daily, if not now weekly basis, to see what's new, what are the trends, what are people responding to, not in insurance, not at all. You know, years ago, I used to go to a conference in San Diego. I'd go every year, and I was the only person I could find there anywhere who was in insurance at all. There were digital marketers there, there were real estate agents there, agents from other kinds of industry, but there was no one from insurance there trying to learn outside of insurance how to work on their marketing game, how to reach the mass audience of people effectively so that, again, they will find you accidentally and come into your funnel so that you can help those people. So I would just challenge you, if you're still in the game, if you're still growing or wanting to grow your agency, and you might be saying to yourself the internal dialogue of, you know, I've got all the business I can handle. I don't ever want to hire employees. I don't need to sell my agency for a lot of money one day and eventually walk away. I don't need to be a part of that. I'm comfortable where I'm at. And if so, this message is not for you. I probably should have put that at the beginning. But if you're trying to be all that you can be, to contribute more, not just to more clients, it's not about that. It's contributing more to the life that you believe in, to the things that are important to you, to family and friends as they're going through struggles, to be able to intercede in somebody's life and say, you know what, I got you right here. It's going to be okay. I can pull you out of the mess that you find yourself in and put you on something better, because the stuff that I studied, the stuff that I implemented, the stuff that I worked late at night learning, in addition to doing my daily job of taking care of clients, that stuff has paid off. And because I studied marketing so much and became effective at that, then whatever it is that I'm working on, which happens to be insurance, which happens to be Medicare within insurance, whatever it is, I've focused enough marketing and attention on that people are coming and I have to get help. People are coming in and I have to get more help. We have to hire more people. We're doing like 2 or 3 interviews today, hiring more people constantly. Why? Because more people are coming in the front door and we need help taking care of them. So if you want to grow, yes, there are a lot of little nuanced challenges to that. Where do you find good people? How much do you pay them? What CRM do you use? What phone system you use? That's all down here on Maslow's hierarchy. That's just barely getting things done. What I'm challenging you to is look at the top of the pyramid. The top of the pyramid is none of that matters if you don't have anyone asking you to help them with their problem. So as soon as you possibly can, if you are interested in growing, I highly encourage you to get out of the seat of constantly being the one answering the phone call, the initial intake. Get out of the seat of being the one that inputs the data into an application. Get out of the seat of the person who's fixing the problems on a daily basis so that you can work on the business by getting more people to come in the front door. Be the strongest possible student there is in the room, sitting at the front of the class when it's all about marketing. And again, you're not really going to find it within our industry or with our niche or our industry. Look out to the influencers in the world who are making things happen in the business world that are actually the top of their game, and no matter what market it is. I used to watch a guy who was in real estate. Actually, he was in mortgages. And for years, I learned so much from this guy because he was effective at getting people's attention and getting them to a call of action where they're actually going to step up and say, yes, I need help. You talked about hiring staff and all that kind of stuff after the fact, but it's really getting the eyes on your organization. Study marketing. Marketing, not just advertising, how to write the most effective ad. That's still too nuanced. It's like, how do I create the brand? What do we stand for? How do we get that message out effectively, consistently, and over time, enough that you don't give up so that it will eventually catch root with somebody, and then you improve and you improve and you improve by dealing with people who are on that level, and they, again, may not have anything to do with the insurance industry. So Van Gogh never did it in his lifetime. He missed out on a life of luxury and being able to help people, and all of his problems when it came to money being solved. Why? Because he did not focus on marketing. He was good at one thing. He was an operator. Had he partnered with somebody who was good at marketing to focus a spotlight on what he was doing, he would have had a much different outcome and probably would have lived a lot longer And we probably would know a lot more about him today. It was not only till he was way gone that the world started to discover what he had created. So we can do better than that while we're still alive and while we're still actively engaged in the industry. I hope something there resonates with you. I would really encourage you, study marketing every single day. It's always changing, it's always evolving, but it is definitely worth the pursuit. Take care.